All right, Hex, it's time to strike a heroic pose as we're going to have a look at LEGO Marvel superheroes.
So much for taking the subway down to the Bugle. Guess I'll just have to fight my way through it. Good plan.
Spider-Man!
The evil mastermind Dr. Doom has enlisted the help of a league of supervillains to help him build a Doom Ray.
Bad guy and dark minion I could find to help assemble Dr. Doom's Doom Ray of Doom.
The cutscenes look great and they're packed with plenty of humour, but they're mostly just an excuse to throw all of our favourite Marvel heroes and villains together and play out the random team-ups comic fans dream about. For example, who'd win if Hulk and Iron Man teamed up against Sandman?
I think I'll give you a hand or two.
It's up to Nick Fury to gather the world's heroes against Dr. Doom. This means we get to use the SHIELD helicarrier as a flying base between missions. And when you're ready to play the next level, you simply jump off and skydive down into New York City.
Those skydives are so fun, aren't they? I was fanning out at this game almost every few minutes. It's packed with so many brilliant touches like that, such as this level where I'm fighting frost giants in Asgard. Just getting to be in Asgard is cool alone, but I'm there as Thor, Captain America, the Human Torch, and Wolverine. Just awesome. And when I was fighting Loki, he duplicated himself, which, as you know, is a handy power he has. But then Wolverine was like, and used his super sense of smell to sniff the real Loki out. Oh, and I can't forget Iceman. He's so cool. He can fly on these ice slides. Oh, it's just like in the comics that I used to read when I was
Oh dear, I do believe Barjo has slipped into a fanboy coma. It happens to the best of us.
What should we do, Darren?
Nothing, Hex. It's a fragile mental state that's best left alone for a few minutes. He'll come to.
Well, I hope so. Darren, we've been playing these LEGO games for almost a decade, and the format's always been pretty much the same. Beat up some goons, then smash some blocks, and build them into something to get to the next section. It's a solid formula, but I've always been a little bit frustrated by how simple the combat's been, so I was so happy to see a lot more moves being used in this game.
Affirmative. The different heroes have some quite unique combat styles. Bigger characters like the Hulk and the Thing can smash the ground so hard it makes mini earthquakes. Plus they can hurl blocks at enemies. And there are lots of ranged characters like Cyclops that can use lasers to cut through enemies and walls.
where was I? Oh yes, let's not forget about the flying heroes. Zipping around with Iron Man's jets is so much fun, and I appreciated the way they've captured his movement style so that he lands with a lot of weight. Plus, the spinning moves he does when he's firing his blasts look spot on. And fans of the latest Iron Man film will notice clever little references like this house party protocol scene.
Speaking of flying heroes, I love the way they react when you slip off a platform. Brilliant. It should just be a rule from now on that any flying video game characters should be able to save themselves if they fall from a great height.
Yes, agreed. And I like the way that they put the creator of Marvel Comics, Stan Lee, in all of the levels. He has a little cameo everywhere, just like in the movies.
Thanks. I was nearly toast. Burnt toast.
Now, I think a robot's efficiency is needed to assess the game's puzzles. I appreciate that these LEGO games are aimed at gamers of all ages, so they can't be too difficult, but some of the puzzles are so simple they sent my CPU into sleep mode. Like this one, where you have to build a handful of things just to make a tiny ramp, which is pointless when you're controlling heroes that could just fly or leap over the ramp anyway. There's just no logic to it.
Yeah, that was a bit silly. I also have really mixed feelings about the boss fights. Take Juggernaut, for example. Being able to use Jean Grey's mind powers against him is so cool when you're snatching blocks out of the air. But then later when he's defenseless, there's nothing you can do to damage him except figure out exactly what the game wants you to do. I mean, when you have a whole team of heroes with different abilities, it'd be nice if there was also a few different ways to beat the bosses.
I think the game is at its best during the combat. You normally have a few heroes to flick between, so there's loads of variety, and some of the attacks are pretty hilarious.
I've got to say, the amount of gameplay packed into this is mind-boggling. As well as all the regular missions, you can wander around New York City doing things like side quests or races, and of course there are plenty of sections in the levels that are built for you to come back to later when you've unlocked the right character to perform a specific action.
Being a big superhero fan, I had a great time with this, and I'm so happy the combat is a bit better. I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, I had a good time with it too. I just wish there were those multiple solutions given the range of powers you have. I'm giving it 7.5.
In a world of supervillains, sometimes you need a superhero. And there's none more super than Brent Perthman, Madam Muscles, and the Dazzler!
Come on, Groot! It's time to save the world!
This would make an awesome fan fiction.
Watch out!
Okay. Anyone else see a giant sword in the sky?
I can. It's right there.
Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 brings all your favorite Marvel heroes together in a battle against time and space!
Affirmative! Kang the Conqueror is trying to take over the world, and he's created rifts between different timelines and realities. You play as a variety of different heroes, all coming together to put an end to his tomfoolery.
While it's not a very inventive storyline, it's a great way to show you lots of different characters and locations without it jumping around for no reason. They've really tried to cram a lot into this game.
Yeah, there's a huge cast, and Marvel fans will enjoy seeing a wide array of heroes turn up to help.
Hey, it was a team effort.
Wow. What a rush. And even more fun than how I'd have written it.
Ah, but where there's a hero, there's always a villain. While Kang is the main baddie, there's a number of other villains who you'll have to face in various mini-boss battles.
Yeah, it kind of gets to a point where there are so many characters, you can't really work out who's good or who's bad anymore. Why are we all fighting? What's going on? Why can't we all just get along?
Yeah, I agree. But they do a better job of highlighting each character's individual abilities and making them seem cool. For example, Wasp can shrink into petite mini-Wasp form, and Ms. Marvel can stretch and grow. And while special abilities are standard in LEGO games, this time around they do a much better job of integrating these traits into normal combat, rather than just using it for puzzles.
It was so cool watching Ms. Marvel's fists grow huge as she bashes about the place. The combat, however, does leave something to be desired, especially after the improvements we saw with the last LEGO game, Ninjago.
Marvel Superheroes 2 brings you back to directionless button mashing. Your hits don't feel like they have any impact. It's more like twirling and punching next to your enemy while maybe 50% of your attacks actually injure them.
It also feels like they've tried to make the combat more difficult by just giving enemies more health. This just prolongs already frustrating combat, and it's noticeably less fun than Ninjago. Part of the problem is that the control system is lacking, unlike my muscles. For example, the button to change which character you're controlling is the same button to do a two-person super move. This means you're often swapping characters when you didn't mean to, and it's pretty frustrating.
It might just be that Ninjago's combat was so good that it makes this feel particularly bad. The puzzles are decent this time around though, with good variety and teamwork, and there's not too many where you're just stuck because something important is weirdly hidden.
Unfortunately, the fixed camera positioning can make some puzzles harder to solve because you can't see what you're doing. It contributes to making the game feel sluggish.
Oh, speaking of the camera, that reminds me of another major gripe that I had, which was the flying. See, usually when you fly in a game, you use the left thumbstick to accelerate and the right thumbstick to control the camera and move your direction. But not here! Here, the left stick controls flat movement, while the right stick controls your height and the camera, meaning you can't get a top view of where you're flying without also bringing your character to the ground.
Yes, that was the worst. It makes no sense. At least you can ride a jackhammer in the game.
I guess you could say it's a jack of all trades.
Yes, you wouldn't want to hammer on about it though.
Well, that was pretty cheesy. You know, like pepper jack cheese? Anyway, aside from the main story, there's also a free play mode. Here you can run around Chronopolis doing small missions to help people or try to find lots of collectibles. These add a lot of extra gameplay time, as there's a ton to try and find.
Yes, but hunting down collectibles is only fun if you love the game, and I didn't love this. I just never got into that satisfying gameplay loop. For example, all the villain fights were constantly broken up with trying to find or build something while you're being attacked by goons. That makes it feel stilted and it's hard to have fun.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I felt that when I got stuck running across this train because I kept missing the jump. Sure, I got there eventually, but the way it was designed made it tedious instead of enjoyable.
And if a game's not fun, then what's the point in playing it?
Too true, Darren. Look, there are some fun moments in this game, but ultimately I found it predictable and tedious. I'm giving LEGO Marvel Super Heroes 2 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Yeah, I also got stuck in some parts because of glitches and had to restart, so I'm giving it 2 out of 5 rubber chickens. But you know what's 10 out of 10? My muscles.
Oh yes.
They're dazzling!